When morning came, all the chief priests and the elders of the people conferred together against Jesus in order to bring about his death. They bound him, led him away, and handed him over to Pilate, the governor. When Judas, his betrayer, saw that Jesus was condemned, he repented and brought back the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and the elders. He said, "I have sinned by betraying innocent blood." But they said, "What is that to us? See to it yourself." Throwing down the pieces of silver in the temple, he departed and he went and hanged himself. But the chief priests, taking the pieces of silver, said, "It is not lawful to put them into the treasury, since they are blood money." After conferring together, they used them to buy the potter's field as a place to bury foreigners. For this reason, that field has been called the field of blood to this day. Then was fulfilled what had been spoken through the prophet Jeremiah. And they took the 30 pieces of silver, the price of the one on whom a price had been set, on whom some of the people of Israel had set a price, and they gave them for the potter's field, as the Lord commanded me.
Matthew gives us two more perspectives on the question of Jesus' identity in the next section of his Passion narrative. One belongs to a man who realized he'd got it wrong. The other is of men who refuse to admit they've got it wrong, but both have tragic consequences. I want to focus on Judas, the man who realizes he's got it wrong. His name is written in history as the dictionary definition of betrayal, and yet when he saw that Jesus was condemned, when he saw the outcome of his kiss back in the Garden of Gethsemane, we're told here that he repented. He brought back the 30 pieces of silver to his paymasters. He says, "I have sinned by betraying innocent blood." Historians speculate on his motives. Maybe he hoped that he would spark a revolt against Roman rule. Maybe he thought he could push Jesus into leading a powerful rebellion. We don't know what went on in Judas's head before his betrayal. What we do know is when his remorse is met with disdain and disregard by the chief priests, Judas departed and he went and hanged himself. It's a tragedy. He realizes right at the end of his life that he got Jesus wrong. Judas recognizes his sin. He knows now that Jesus' blood would be shed. He was condemned. His death was sure. And yet he was innocent. Friends, the tragedy here is that Judas went to the wrong people with his guilt and his remorse. He went to the chief priests. But they cared not one jot for the life of Judas. No, he was a tool they had used to get the life of Jesus. If only Judas had gone to Jesus. I'm not suggesting that Jesus is some sort of instant fix for our internal anguish. I don't want to be trite. I'm not saying that going to Jesus will spare anyone from suicide. No. But if Judas had gone to Jesus with his remorse and his repentance, he would have found forgiveness. The guilt and the shame that come with sin, only Jesus can deal with them. Only Jesus can lift the burden and untangle that internal anguish. Who is Jesus? He's innocent. He's free of sin of any kind. He's the only one who can free us from the burden of sin and its crippling guilt and shame. Jesus has just made that very promise in the Last Supper with his disciples. He says, and we use this at communion every time we take it, we read, "Then he took a cup, and when he had given thanks, he gave it to them, saying, 'Drink from this, all of you. This is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins. Have you experienced that forgiveness? Have you experienced that freedom from guilt and shame? It's never too late to taste it.